They have to be doing it on purpose. I hope.
I think they are. I mean, of course they are. And,
But
what I don't understand is what has consistently baffled me is what's the end game. It's certainly not truth. It's certainly not being a guard dog of speaking truth to power. It's certainly not being a watchdog for the people, right? It's certainly not to defend freedom. If they ever got the authoritarian, I mean, the one authoritarian state that they want, I mean, my goodness, I can't imagine it would be.
I don't know if you mentioned this on the show or when we were talking earlier about projecting. I think it was before.
Yeah. The Democrats project. They project everything that they do onto the Republicans and just
it's a strategy, though,
and just accuse us.
So
Republicans of everything that they themselves do. Yes.
There's an article in Politico that says the GOP has no goal anymore. It's got no agenda. They put out no party platform, but it says there's a quote from someone saying all they want to do is, I don't know, post memes and own the libs or something like that. They want to win and own the libs, and I'm like, that's a projection. I can't look at Democrats and see what they want to do. Like, are they for universal health care or opposed to it? Well, it's a mixed bag, right? And it's okay if they disagree.
Sure.
But what does everything they do lead to? Just winning. That's it. What is burning a building? Like you mentioned this earlier, we were unified. Rush Limbaugh, Tucker Carlson, Hannity all came out saying, like, conservative guys, what happened to George Floyd was awful. Mm-hmm. It was not okay. So everyone's unified. You think that would have been a great moment for this country. What do? They go burn down buildings. Why? Because they're not trying to do anything other than get you. They don't. When they finally, it's the Joker, right? You've watched the movie,
yes,
The Dark Knight?
Some men just want to see the world burn.
Even better when he says, "I'm like a dog chasing a car. I wouldn't know what to do if I ever caught one."
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening. So it's like, there it is. It was I think it was Andrew Cuomo. He was like, "You did it. You won. What do you want?" I don't want anything. I want to be mad. And they just want to exert power over other people.
Yeah. And so this to me is, I think, why it's so important for Republicans to take back control of the House, because, President Trump in 2 years, I mean, it wasn't perfect. Republicans didn't get to pass all the agenda items that they wanted, but they were doing a lot of great stuff. And then 2018 came along. This was right around the time where the Russia hoax and the Mueller probe was kicking off, and Democrats took back control of the House, and progress in this country, and that's a loaded word, and I don't mean it in the way that but the work on behalf of the people in this country ground to a halt. And 2 years, it was just nothing but impeaching the president. That was all.
It's true, but I mean, in 2016, Republicans had everything.
I know,
and a lot of them were giving in to the Russiagate stuff.
It was disappointing. It was disappointing. It was disappointing to me that the Republicans seem to not on everything, but they seem to squander the majority.
That's why when I talk about the establishment, Republican and Democrats, I'm not fans of either. Donald Trump wanted to pull our troops out of Afghanistan, and it was 8 Republicans and 3 Democrats who supported him in that. And I'm not surprised that you have still unity among both parties in opposition to things Trump is trying to do. But I think, unsurprisingly, it was Matt Gaetz who joined in supporting the president in his efforts to withdraw our forces. But I think there's very few Republicans. There's like a new wave, that are coming in that are different from the way I remember Republicans, the way the Republican Party used to be. I think a lot of this has to do with Trump, and whatever it is, it's a bigger tent, like you mentioned.
100%.
It's more welcoming to traditional liberals. I mean, I am more worried. People. I'm talking to a friend of mine. She made a post saying, hey everybody. She's a good friend of mine. Known her for a really, really, really long time. Like one of my best friends. Everybody vote. Everybody donate to Joe Biden. And I commented, Joe Biden was part of the Obama administration, and they carried out a whole bunch of foreign policy decisions I do not like. There were extrajudicial assassinations. There was indefinite detention provision. All of these things that I think are horrible for this country. The Espionage Act used against whistleblowers and journalists. I'm not going to vote for someone from the Obama administration. And then people started making jokes about swapping out Biden for Cuomo or whatever. And I was like, no, I'm probably going to vote for Trump. And they were like, they gasped. No, she was asked, like, how could that possibly be? And I said, because they just voted to repeal the civil rights law in California. Because they're marching around and they're screaming in people's faces, salute us or else.
You had Democrats lining up for miles, 3 years before President Trump ran on the Republican ticket just to get into the guy's parties.
Yep.
Right? You had guys like Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton celebrated President Trump and what he did for the African American community in this country. And now all of a sudden President Trump is demonized. Oh, he's a racist. Of course, that's what they do. That's what the left does. Again, we talked about this, the politics of personal destruction. They have nothing else. But President Trump, just because he runs as a Republican, he's demonized. He's hated. He's the enemy.
And he's moderate.
And oh my God, that is the truth. That is the truth. And I will tell you that President Trump, he wants the best for everyone. He does not get a fair shake in the media. This is a guy that truly does believe of diversity of thought in the Republican Party. He will listen to every perspective that's out there. Yet he's demonized as some sort of like draconian knuckle dragger. Or people talk, well, I don't like the way that he comports himself. And I say, how many conversations with a construction worker have you had in your life? President Trump came up in the New York City construction trade. That's a tough business. It's tough as nails. Sometimes people in that business lack tact. It's just how it is. I was in the infantry. Believe me, I know that's how it goes. And so I ask people, like, understand that, when you're looking at how President Trump interacts with people. I mean, does he always say the perfect thing? No. But the guy loves this country. He loves and appreciates all of America's people. He does. I know it. I've seen it. And so I've never seen somebody resist groupthink like President Trump. And I appreciate that.
I think it might have something to do with ego.
Maybe a little.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows. He's always struck me as the kind of guy who's sitting there thinking, like, I know what needs to be done. You have no idea what you're talking about. Look, and that's why his name's in big gold letters on buildings around the planet, all over the world. I can understand this. I've been in situations where I've worked at a bunch of companies. I tell you what, I've worked at these media companies, and I have told them I worked for basically just two different companies. I worked for Vice. I worked for Fusion, which was ABC News and Univision. And every time, there's just countless stories of the meetings I'd have where I'd say, here's what you need to do to make it work. And they'd be like, I don't know. I don't want to do that. And so ultimately I said, I'm going to do my own thing because I'm tired of dealing with other people who don't understand what I'm trying to tell them and can't make it work, but I can. And I feel like Trump probably does that. And so what happens is when someone comes to him and says, hey, I got this idea, he goes, no. He's very, very full of himself. Now, I think he did make some mistakes early on with some of the people he hired, and that backfired on him. Now they're all writing books about him and things like that.
Well, that's what bureaucracies do best is preserve themselves.
Yeah.
And so, people that have worked in President Trump's administration that have been in Washington for a long time, Tim, they preserve their usefulness by saying, I didn't support President Trump, and in the hopes that maybe they'll be able to get a job down the line. I never supported him in the first place. See, here's my book. Let me make a couple bucks until the next administration comes along, and maybe I'll get hired again. And this is what bureaucracies do. Bureaucracies protect themselves first.
But it's not even bureaucracy. Look at Scaramucci, Cohen. These people are like, I'm going to write a book and I'm going to sell it. Bolton, I'm going to write a book. So it scares me that we have a political faction in this country that not all of them, I think a lot of them maybe just aren't paying attention, but a lot of the thought leaders are trying to score a buck, quick buck. What do I got to say to get elected? I'll say whatever I got to say. Just give me the keys to the castle.
I mean, have you realized that that's like the polar opposite of how I am, right?
Well, that's why I want to talk to you, because I think that's true.
It's not easy running like this. I mean, you talk about taking things out of context. I mean, I've gone on comedy shows in the past making tongue-in-cheek jokes with stand-up comedians, and they're being taken out of context. And I hate women, and that's not the case. Listen, watch the whole clip, decide for yourself. Don't listen to what some of the journalists, and I certainly use that term loosely. Don't listen to what the journalists say. Watch the clips on your own.
Well, this is the left in a nutshell. Are you familiar with the story of Count Dankula?
No.
So he's a comedian in the UK, and they got it way worse than we do. They don't have free speech the same way. He made a joke video. He was a nobody. He was a regular dude, working class guy. Actually, used to be a commie, and he made a joke video where he taught his girlfriend's pug to do the Nazi salute. The joke was the dog was the cutest thing in the world, so he wanted to make it the most disgusting thing imaginable by teaching it to react to horrible things. He had like 8 subscribers. He was not a personality. He made a joke video. They arrested him for it. He went to jail. He got convicted, and he had to pay a fine. That's ultimately how it turned out. They ended up taking the money from him. But this is an extreme example. What we see this kind of stuff in the UK. Over here, it's similar, but we do have free speech. It's all about power, stomping on people, destroying them, owning them, gaining power by any means necessary. They will take anything you say and they will lie about it. They will manipulate it. Because I guess it gives them attention. I honestly don't understand.
I don't know, but I'll tell you that's why I was afraid to get in this. I really was. You know, I've been in life and death situations hundreds of times in Afghanistan, but I was afraid to get in this because I've got 3 small kids, you know, and I don't want them to have to go to school every day and deal with the BS lies that are thrown around. I don't want them to have to deal with the politics of personal destruction. I don't want my kids to. I keep coming back to this, but look at what they did to Brett Kavanaugh. They tried to ruin that man's life, and nothing of what they said was true.
But
it was all a lie. Every bit of it was a lie. But at the same time, this country is worth it. You know, the people that live in this country are worth it, and it's worth fighting for. And if good people don't rise up to fight for this country to ensure the next generation has a country that's rich with opportunity, we won't survive.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.